Welcome back, everybody. We are very, very lucky today to have the co-founder of Tour Atlas in Alex with us today to share her story of how the last months have been going in their world, what they've been doing over the last 3 years, creating this amazing platform, to help travel agents, decipher the big wide world of product out there, and hopefully, obviously, help you deliver a better experience to your customers. So, Alex, I'll hand over to you straight away, and maybe you can give us a bit of a backstory on yourself personally, and obviously how you guys decided to create such a great platform, and what that's been like over the last few years.
Hi, Josh. Thanks for having me today. Tour Atlas has been an interesting journey. So three years ago, we came up with the concept. I did a career change. So I was a therapist. When agents hear that I was a therapist, they're like, oh, so this is why you're in the industry. So I said I worked with families and stuff, but the program I was in was defunded, and my youngest finished high school, so I thought time for a career change. Always loved travel, so I decided to go back to school and went back to William Aglis and enrolled in travel and tourism diploma. Was the oldest student they had, was older than my teachers, but it was a fabulous experience. The younger guys were really, really good with me. And as part of the diploma that I did there, I did an internship with a tour company in Melbourne and learnt a lot, had my eyes open because I don't have a travel industry background. So I said I'd come in with completely new and come in as a consumer. So to actually see some of the behind the scenes stuff happening was really interesting. But then there was some moments of really? Especially around the tech. Couldn't believe how lacking the industry was in tech. So I went on the road with the BDM as well, and he was really good and really honest about the frustrations that he dealt with in regards to getting that product knowledge across to the agents. But I could see it from an agent's perspective as well, because they're just bombarded with thousands of products, so many BDMs, plus consumer inquiries, and their business is bookings. So every time they took time away to talk to a BDM is a bit of lost income. So I could see the challenges. And then I had one particular day where I worked with the marketing team, and they asked me to send some new tour information off to one of their big clients. And I'm like, sure, because I thought, you're a big company, they're a big company. It's going to be something really whiz-bangy that I could learn, because I wasn't very tech savvy. Still am not. And they said, you need to copy and paste the tour itineraries from our website, put it into Notepad to shrink the bigger itineraries, and then into Excel spreadsheet. And I'm like, are you shitting me? And they're like, no, that's the way we do it. And I'm like, wow, okay. I went home and I told Greg, my husband, and I'm like, guess what I did today? And I told him, he was like, are you shitting me? And I'm like, no, this is what they're doing. And I said to him, and then this is what, the BDM was telling me. And as a consumer, I have got lots of websites that I can go onto to look for touring product. I'm a chronic Googler, never use a brochure for my travel when I'm looking for travel. I said to him, do you reckon we could build a search engine? And he's like, sure. And we started doing some research, looked at the sites that I had as a consumer, and kind of used that as a framework. My lecturer at TAFE was a travel manager. So I asked her about her challenges that, she dealt with when she was consulting, especially around touring product. And we took it from there. And 3 years, just under 3 years later. So we launched in July 2017 with the first version, and we're on to version 5 now, after, consulting with agents. So the way we work is that we put the search engine into agents' hands, and we ask for their feedback, because the idea is it's a consulting tool for them. That's what makes us a little bit different from other IT companies as well, is because we take the feedback from the agents when they say we'd like to see this or we need it to do that. We work on it, and sometimes over a weekend we'll implement a new change.
And how's the last few months, current situation and COVID sort of affected you and the business, and sort of personally, how have you been coping with the social distancing sort of thing that we're all going through at the moment?
Oh, look, it's been interesting. As a sole operator, I have found it challenging because I don't have a team around me. So that was, not being able to travel and meet with agents and have coffee and go to events, which is how I connected with everyone. Having all that taken away from me was a challenge, but huge shout out to Maxine Wigg and Meg, who I know you spoke to the other day. The Travel Industry Women's Groups have just been sensational for me to help me stay connected and have conversations, and to be able to share information. I like to share information about running a small business. So it's not just about Tour Atlas. It is about, what information do you need? And from my days as a therapist, I like to get people to think differently. So I'll post things that I find on like LinkedIn or whatever that I think can be helpful. So that has been really good. So that's how I've stayed connected to the industry, and I've got, made some fabulous friends who, check in on me. Personally at home, being stuck with, my co-founder for like 3 solid months is interesting, because anyone who's worked with a developer knows you speak very different languages. So there's been some interesting arguments around any development, but no circuit breaker, which has always been interesting. And our house is really tidy. So
Nice.
We didn't quite do the Marie Kondo thing, because I like all my stuff. All my stuff sparks joy. But things are a lot tidier because our youngest moved out of the house in February. So we spent the time reclaiming our house, which is nice after 22 years.
And what about from the business side of things? What are you guys working on at the moment? What have you seen as, taking this time and opportunity to go, what, we've always wanted to do this, or we've escalated, this new phase, or this, 5.0 or whatever you're up to at the moment. What's going through in the actual business side of things?
With the business side, so what we had just made some changes before everything shut down, in that, when an agent now creates their account and when they take on a subscription, their logo actually appears in the corner of the screen, which means that now as a consulting tool, they can actually show their client, and it just looks like a bespoke system that they've got. And we had just launched our Tour Finder, which is the search engine going onto agents' websites. And we take care of all the tech in the background, because I've looked at a lot of agents' websites, and I have said to them, okay, as a consumer, what do you want me to do with your website? Because you've got badges for maybe the different touring companies, but I click on it and A, nothing happens, or B, I get redirected to the supplier's website. And I'm like, if I go to a supplier website, why am I going to come back? So we created Tour Finder so that the agents could put our full database, which is at the moment 14,500 itineraries from 55 suppliers. They could put that onto their website, make their website more interactive, and all the referrals go back to them. So that's what we had been working on, and just refining that part of the business.
Do you think maybe we should have a bit of a look,
Sure.
see what it's all about, for those
Absolutely.
agents that haven't had a play yet,
Yep.
in the space? Might be good just to share what the system looks like, and that the Tour Finder stuff, and let's get it up. So if you want to share your screen,
Okay.
you just let you drive.
Oops. All right. Can you see it?
Not yet.
So where am I? Zoom. Oh, there we go. All right. So there we go.
Still not up.
This is still not up. I've got you in the corner, and I've got my screen.
On the Zoom button, can you press share screen?
Yeah, I'm sure I did. Let's have a look. Why have I made you small? Share screen. Yep. There we go. There you go. Can you see it now?
Yeah, look at us.
Awesome. Do you know what? I run a tech company, but when it comes to this kind of tech, it's really not my strong point.
That's why you have a co-founder.
That's why I have an amazing co-founder. He fixes all my stuff. Okay, so welcome to Tour Atlas.
Right.
So it's a really easy to use platform. So agents can actually start a search based on a destination. Any destination that's in an itinerary, we pull up. And as you can see, like there's a whole lot of different ones. So we are working on more Australia and New Zealand itineraries at the moment. And so we've also then got, so they can also include, they can search for attractions. So if someone's looking for something in particular, they want to visit Uluru or whatever.
Let's do it. Let's go Uluru.
Uluru? Okay, so all they need to do is they use quotation marks, which I found out that's how you actually do a specific Google search as well.
Yep.
Didn't know that.
Oh, the little pop-up tells you to put those in as well. That's cool.
Yep. As I said, we've tried to make it as intuitive as possible and give as many instructions as possible. So at the moment, we have got 34 itineraries that have Uluru in it. So the search engine is super quick, as you could see, like in under 2 seconds, we brought them up. So now you can also filter by departure dates, travel style, group size, age range, number of days, and price. So when the traveller comes in and like the agent's doing that qualifying, as they're talking to them, they can be clicking on all of those things and setting those parameters. Now, to have a look at the itineraries, as you can see, here's a snapshot. You've got the name of the tour, you've got the actual dates. If the months are in grey, the itinerary is not running. If it's in green, it's running. Tells you who it is, what the travel style is, and what the price is. And here is all the information that they need to see. So they don't have to be flicking through brochures. They don't have to have 10 tabs open across their screen. It's all the information's on the one screen for them.
And if you want to get that information to a customer really quickly, what's the next step?
You click on Tour Planner and it appears here. So this is where they'll fill in their customers' details, they fill in their hi, how are you, lovely to chat with you, all that kind of stuff. The tour is here. They can send 5 itineraries per email. All the itineraries will have their branding on it. We've debranded the itineraries. They're all in a standard format. And so when the customer gets it, all they see is the agent's logo and contact details. The departure dates are there too. They can choose the departure dates. And we've got a tour webpage button that the agent can go to that if they need to check any last minute pricing. But when this itinerary gets sent to the customer, there's no external links for them to click on. So there's nothing that takes them back to the supplier website. They can drop down the itinerary, they can look at everything, but there's not a single external link that drives them back to the supplier website. So this is, and they can email this or they can do it as a PDF export, which means that if they're doing a bigger quote, they can actually attach that itinerary to that quote in PDF format. So we've given them a couple of different ways of sending through the itineraries. The other beauty is they can compare the itineraries side by side, which is a lot easier than having 4 brochures open in front of you or the 10 tabs across the screen and trying to remember what you saw where. So with the tours, you can see we've got all the information. The areas that are shaded tell you what the difference is in the tours, so they can see straight away what the difference is. We even break it down to price per day, which is a great way to sell an itinerary as well, because someone will say, well, I can do it cheaper myself or whatever, but the agent can say, but when you take into account all these components and that time that you're spending putting it all together, this is actually a great deal for you. And as I said, you've got maps and then descriptions and inclusions and the departure dates, which means that even if it's a similar itinerary with different suppliers, they can actually line up the departure dates because one supplier might be really good, but the dates may not match. So then they've got the option of another supplier with a date, which is the kind of thing that takes agents hours to do using brochures and websites.
Great. And how many can you compare at once?
As many as you want.
Yeah, right.
We don't have, it's just, they'll come up across the screen.
Yeah.
And then you just scroll across the screen. So you've got no limit on how many you can compare at a time.
Are you able to show us one of your customers or agents' websites that are using it on their own platform? Is that something you can go to quickly?
As in,
Tour Finder, yeah.
Yep.
If you've got a white label version, or if you just, I'm sure whoever's website has it on there, but wouldn't mind. We'll ask permission later, but just so that if there are any agents out there at the moment that do have their own websites or agency websites, they think this would be great for a bit of customer facing stuff.
Yep.
I don't know.
Okay, so who have we got? So Festival Travel have a version of our Tour Finder on there. And so since what they've done is they've got cruise offers and they've got tour search.
Yep.
And so you'll see it's pretty similar.
Yep.
And they've got a start location, they've got the search. What they can also do is with our standard Tour Finder or our custom version is that they can actually set their tiles. So depending, and they can do that. And what we'll do is, so Italy, we'll pull through all the Italy tours for their customers to look at. And so they can set that as, they can do some of our clients have done food and others have done, cycling and walking, or they can do it by country.
And what a good thing to do for, say, the Australia-New Zealand bubble.
Absolutely.
At the moment coming up to just have that purely focused on, and then maybe adding that, if Fiji opened, for instance, there's obviously not touring there, but
but as Thailand, Vietnam,
Japan's talking about it as well. You could just add that in.
Absolutely. So you can keep changing those tiles and pulling through that product as that bubble widens.
Great.
And so this is what their clients see. Festival Travel, they did a custom, so they've got a book now, which means that you can leave a deposit. The client can leave a deposit. So we've given, the aim of what we do is we're giving agents OTA capacity, but with really affordable tech, because that's what we figured they needed. They needed to be able to compete with OTAs, but in an affordable way. To find developers, to sort of do all this is really challenging, especially when you're in the business of selling travel and tech isn't your thing. We've just, that's the space that we've come into. So as you can see here on Festival Travel's website, there's all the itinerary information, all the dates. You can click and you can see the itinerary, but there's no actual links back to a supplier's website.
Right.
It's all their branding, and they, the inquiry goes back through to them.
That's awesome.
So that's what we do for agents' websites, and we can do this for anyone. And I think this is going to change the way things, the way agents do things, because what's coming out now a lot is they need to have a digital presence. During this time of being locked down, we've all done so much online shopping and stuff like that. We've all become very digitally savvy, and we're a lot more people who maybe weren't so comfortable doing stuff online are very comfortable now. So then it's about the industry that, adapting to that.
So we might unshare the screen now. We'll go back to the chat. So I really want to get from you. It's obviously such a great platform, and for those companies and agents that want to use it, that I can see some huge benefit. From your experience and your opinion, what do you think are the most important things moving forward, going into the other side, but both from the touring side of things and from the agent side of things? The tech's great. but what do we also need to do to layer on top of that to really make sure that, we can move forward into the other side using great tech to our advantage and then be stronger and better for it because of it.
I think it's about an understanding of what each other do. I've seen, and I know Meg mentioned it when you spoke to her too, about the silos. I had picked up the silos as well. And that became quite evident when customers started requesting refunds, that there seemed to be a bit of a, as not as much of an understanding about what the roles are in the industry from both sides. So I'd love to see agents actually selling a lot more touring, but becoming a lot more comfortable with it, because it's not just coach touring. There's and that's why I came into the space, because the depth of product is phenomenal. We're in the process of onboarding a small supplier who is offering, luxe food and wine tours on the Mornington Peninsula. And that's why we sort of came into the space as well. And we built an API platform because we knew the industry wasn't there, so that we could actually onboard small and niche suppliers and have them sitting there alongside the big suppliers. So the agents would then have that scope available to them, that if their client could say, I want to do something, but I don't want to do something with 40 people. And they could easily find something that was a bit more bespoke and niche. So I think what you're doing is really, really great with Travel EDJO, because if the agents can, get that education in a way that works for them, in a time that works for them. I know with BDMs walking in the door, it's really hard because the timing may not be right. And then they may not circle back around for another 6 weeks or 8 weeks, or there's more agents who are setting up and they're remote and they're setting up on their own because they've been in the industry for a long time. They don't see BDMs. There's small suppliers who can't afford to have a BDM team. So we're sort of seeing Tour Atlas as being that medium that, it's a place to connect. And that's what I'd like to see the industry using it as. It's a community. We've built it based on a community development kind of model, in that come and have a look, meet in the middle on this neutral platform. I'd love to see tour operators adapt to tech a lot more. I'm pretty surprised at how many still don't have tech, who can't give us their tours in API format, because they've put aside their tech development for too long, and now it's overwhelming. So again, they've gone, we'll just put it aside some more. But I think it needs to happen. They need to be, the industry needs to be more digital, and because digital allows them to be faster and meet those needs, those queries in a faster way, which is what we expect. Google has changed the landscape, and we can't sort of sit back and go, well, this is the way we used to do it and it worked really well. Google's changed that. And I'd like to see the industry change accordingly. So I'd like to see agents not call touring coach touring and think that that's all that touring is. And I'd love to see operators become, take on tech and become a lot more digital in the way they get their product across.
And I think, some of this coming from outside the industry, it's great to have that sort of honest feedback. Not that, the industry internally hasn't known that our tech generally across the board has been pretty shit for a long period of time and very much archaic and behind the times. But, understanding that connection is really key, experience of agents, knowledge of agents, firsthand experience, and all of the things that an agent can do for a customer. If we can have them working alongside some tech that really allows the experience to be quicker, better, more efficient. And then for tour companies as well to understand that, by increasing their tech and their platforms to allow this sort of thing to happen, they're more likely to have the right customer experience in their product. And if the right customer experience is their product, then the word of mouth and the reviews, and, you don't want, some 19-year-old jumping on a trip that maybe wasn't for them and then having a really bad experience because, it wasn't it wasn't clear and evident, what
Yep.
suited what customer and what product. So I see it as a
Yeah.
huge benefit for if I was on the front line myself, as an agent, I definitely see that as a massive, massive benefit to being able to do things quickly and efficiently and compete with, as you said, the Googles and the OTAs of the world that are very, they're tech companies that happen to sell a little bit of travel on the side. We're travel companies that have a little bit of tech on the side, and we need to get better. They can't get better at their connection and their personality stuff because they don't have real people like us. But we can absolutely get better at the tech side of things, which I think you're proving, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, at the moment we've got 14,500 itineraries. So, that's a lot of content and like all different price points and travel styles and stuff like that. And we're only going to grow. So that's a lot of content that agents have at their fingertips that they can market, they can break it down, they can, put it in EDMs and all that sort of stuff that, so I think it's a great time now for them.
And as
work with it.
And as I'm sure if I'm thinking it, everybody else is thinking it, watching, they're like, all right, how much does it cost? What are you trying to take from me? Because, some people will be thinking, Jesus, it's going to cost me a fortune to be set up with this stuff, or, to have it on my website. How much am I going to pay some, amazing tech developer who, I'm sure if I went outsourced, would cost me thousands of dollars to try to figure it out. What for somebody who just wants access to the program, what are they going to pay? And somebody who wants a possible white label for their own website, what are they going to pay?
Yeah. So we priced Tour Atlas, like everything that we do, at a point where it could be affordable. So a single subscription to Tour Atlas for, say, a mobile agent is $49 for the year, which is like less than $1 a week.
Wow.
And for that, they get to, they've got that platform, their logo goes in the corner, which means when they're consulting, they can show their screen to their customer and it looks like they've got a bespoke system with all this touring content. They can send all those itineraries out with their branding on them. So for $1 a week, sensational. And because we work with our suppliers by API, as soon as an itinerary is released, we have it. So they can get on that front, the agent can get on the front foot and start marketing that immediately. For our tour operators, well, we built an API platform because we worked out that the industry didn't really have anything. Tech developers were charging a lot of money and would get 80% into the build and go MIA. And then small operators who didn't understand tech would end up getting burned. So we actually built an API platform. So when a tour operator subscribes with us, if they don't have the tech, we give them access to our API platform. We give them that tech as part of their subscription. And they can actually then, once they've got their tours onto our platform, they can actually use that API to feed their website if they haven't got a good search engine on their website. They can feed back into theirs and run theirs really well. For a supplier to come on board, we base it on TTV because we figured that was the fairest way to do it. We run an unbiased platform, which means that a small supplier can come up alongside a big supplier in our search algorithm. We ensure everything is neutral, and also means that one big supplier can't outbid another big supplier to outrank them, because our philosophy has always been if we can match the right product with the consumer, it's a win for everybody. And that's the bottom line. That's what we need to focus on. So for Tour Finder, it's we start at $99 a month for all of that product, and then we've got there's 3 different versions of the Tour Finder. So the agents can start with the basic, and we don't lock them into a contract. If they want to upgrade, then we can upgrade them without a problem, and we're always there. So we look after all of that tech component. They don't have to worry about the APIs. They don't have to worry about the data. It's all clean and it all comes through to them, and they just market it.
One booking a month, you're in front.
Absolutely.
One booking and you're in front for the whole year as a $49 subscription. I don't want to sound like the guys on the morning show or whatever those programs are where they're selling vacuum cleaners, and now we're going to say, but more if you get one you can get two free. But I absolutely, hand on heart, I can say that sounds like a really, really cheap deal and great value, and I hope anyone out there that's thinking that could really help my business and help me grow on the other side of this and really focus on what I want to be focusing on. And then, the investment for me is probably a no-brainer, but that'll be proof in the pudding that you'll no doubt see after all of this.
And it's a tax deduction too.
Even better. Even better.
The tax man ultimately pays for it. So even better. And we're fully mobile compatible.
Yeah.
So the platform that I showed you is mobile compatible. They can do it. So a mobile agent or any agent can be sitting anywhere and actually answer queries and send information to their clients. They can do it from their mobile phone, sitting on the beach in Vietnam at the end of the year when that travel bubble opens up.
That's great.
So
it's a really cool tool, a great platform, and the good thing is obviously, agents aren't losing out any commission, suppliers aren't, reducing their amount that they're getting. Everybody's playing, in a space where it just helps everyone. And
absolutely,
that's really good to hear, because I think as we move through to the other side of this, this we're all in this together. People might be sick of hearing that or not. Maybe we can change the wording so people, don't get too upset by people when they say it. But that as an industry, that's kind of where we need to play in some way, shape, or form. Collectively, working towards making it easier for everybody to play in this game for as long as they possibly can, while they still want to play it, and look after their customers and put the right product in front of them. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah, we came into this space to disrupt, but to disrupt for good. So because when I realised that the industry was still so brochure reliant, and that hadn't changed in 30 years, because I did my first lot of work experience when I was 15, and I'm definitely not anywhere near that anymore. And I was stamping and stacking brochures at American Express in Adelaide, where I grew up, and to walk into an agency like over 30 years later, and the agents are still going, when the brochures coming? I just went, wow. And, I know brochures are great and they're visual and some of us need it, but as an actual consulting tool, they're not the most efficient. Yeah. So, they can still be used in tandem with Tour Atlas. You give your client a brochure, they can flick through it, but while they're flicking through it and looking at the pictures, as an agent, you can be bringing up all those itineraries.
Well, it's like
giving them options.
It makes me think of that, the famous, I guess, quotes or information that came out of one of the last blockbuster board meetings, which is where somebody out loud of their mouth said, our customers like to come into our shops and browse through the DVD covers before they decide what they want. So we don't need to change our business model because that's what customers want. Yeah. And we all know how that ended up for them. They had the ability right then and there to create their own Netflix, to create their own streaming service. They had the funds, they had the money, they had the contacts, they had the contracts with all the different, movie, companies and suppliers. But they were this is how we've done it. This is what we believe this is what our customers want. And this is the way we're going to stay. And as you said, 30 years of brochures and stamps and putting your business card on it and handing it out to a customer and saying, have a look through this and let me know which tour you want to book. And then I'll take your $5,000 or $10,000 off you, and I'll be rewarded with commission for that because I'm so great at stapling my business card to a brochure. It's just not feasible anymore. As you said, it's not enough. And we need to increase the tech alongside with stepping up the game of how we actually deliver that product to our customers. So as I said, I think it's great. Yeah.
Well, that's why we put a mini CRM into Tour Atlas, which means that all those tour planners that get sent out, they all sit there. So an agent can actually circle back. And I saw that. So it's it becomes a warm kind of referral process. Whereas, as you said, with a brochure and a business card, that's a cold walkout. That person, you're relying as an agent, you're relying on that person coming back to you. You've got no way to chase them up again.
Yeah.
Whereas when you email a tour planner, you've got all their contact details, and you've actually got what they were interested in.
Yeah.
Which means that if they didn't book that time, you can actually, when something new comes out, you can actually circle back around and remarket to them.
And I saw there was a re-notify me email section where you can put like a 3-day window that pops up and tells you, you know, that customer, contact them again, see how they went with it. Yeah, which is great. Great agents will do that, create follow-up, you know, in their diaries or calendars or whatnot. But this, you know, again, a tool that does it for you. Wow, you know, that's a real deal.
They can set a price watch on an itinerary. So if someone's like, oh, I really like that one, but, you know, I can't afford that, can you let me know when there's a sale? The agent can actually set a price watch. And when we detect a change in either the price or the availability, we send the agent an email saying, hey, there's been a change. You've set a price watch on this itinerary. There's been a change. And they can look at it again. And if the price has dropped, they can contact their client. Wow. So it's about making things as simple as possible because we understand how busy they are and the amount of product that they're dealing with. So if we can make one part a lot easier, then that's what we're here for.
It's awesome. And speaking of Netflix and self-isolation and timing, I know that you're hanging out on the sunny Gold Coast at the moment, you know, enjoying being able to work from anywhere and being able to work remote, which is great. How have you enjoyed this time personally? Like, have you figured out any hobbies, or, you know, have you worked on something that you've always, you know, do stamp collection, or what have you been doing in this time?
Do you know what? I realised that my only hobby is travel. So I'm looking for a new one for this year. So it was really interesting because we're empty nesters. Like, I'd had a whole year planned and all that sort of stuff, and then it all just went to shit. And I'm like, man, I've got nothing else now. So
you and every other one watching at the moment. Thinking, what else do I do except for go on holidays or think about going on holidays?
Oh yeah, research a holiday, plan a holiday, book a holiday. That's what my life has been, and Tour Atlas have been my life for the last 3 years. So it's been interesting. So yeah, and I did go through and I did sort out my house because it's an empty nest now, and we've reclaimed it. It's a lot tidier. Bit of Netflix. Try not to argue with my co-founder because we've spent so much time together. And we were lucky to come up to the Gold Coast, but for the circumstances, you know, we ended up here because my mother-in-law was unwell. But there's a bit of a silver lining because we've managed to stay up here in a fabulous apartment with water views, and it's warm. So we've been getting out and walking on the beach and doing stuff like that, which is great for our mental health and bit of exercise, you know, dealing with the ISO kilos.
Yeah, 24-degree winters are pretty challenging to deal with up here in Queensland, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, we are plotting, okay, how are we going to manage this? You know, we'll spend 3 months on the Gold Coast, we'll spend 3 months in Bali, you know, a couple of months back in Melbourne when we have to.
Yeah. Just over the cricket season, and you know, just the nice warm period in Melbourne. That's probably about all you need to spend time down there.
Didn't have much of it this year, I can tell you. So, so look, I've actually been surprised at how quickly time goes when you don't do much.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Well, I've been doing all this stuff, so yeah.
You've been doing a lot, yeah.
Yeah, keep busy.
Yeah. Well, we actually had a planning meeting. So, because we'd done so well, we did a planning meeting in January. We planned out our whole year. This is going to be a year for consolidation. No new product, just consolidating and building on what we had. Well, that all changed in March. So we sort of had to tweak things, but yeah, we just keep thinking about, you know, how we make the platform better.
And obviously you're dealing with some great agents out there at the moment. You know, did you think about a couple of those that, you know, you think might want to jump on the platform, share their story and talk about how they've been going through this process? Sure
have. So Belle Goldie is one. I think she's done an amazing job. She is a cruise specialist, so obviously been hit pretty hard, but has done an amazing job in keeping her community engaged. So I think she will have a lot of value to share. And the other one is Diana Brooke. She runs the Sustainable Traveller. And I think that's definitely going to be something that travellers going forward are going to be interested in. And she's building a really solid business with a focus on sustainable travel and responsible travel.
It's great. I think both would add a huge amount of value, and obviously Belle from how she's coached through that cruise, period, and obviously and then the sustainable stuff, both big topics that are being discussed at the moment, the cruise industry and obviously sustainable future travel.
Yeah,
it keeps coming up around, how do we feel about, what we've seen happen to the world without us being there exploring it.
Yeah,
and how do we get through the guilt or whatever it is that we might feel about going off and exploring again, knowing what impact we do create. So I think sustainable travel, conscientious travel and purposeful travel will become a really, really important part of the industry moving forward, and something we all need to consider and all need to think about. And, you might find there's another tab on your Tour Atlas, platform at some point, which will have some, B Corp, Intrepid and G Adventures. You might have some other things that'll come in. You might have more B Corps. You might have more little badges that say certain things around health security or whatnot, which will, even more of a reason to use something like that will help people decipher, what is a sustainable company that I'm using, what is this, and what does that tour do, and carbon offsets and emissions and those things. So all exciting stuff for me. It's all silver lining, because it's like, this is all the stuff we should have been talking about, and this has just accelerated it and forced us into that space, which which is really cool.
Well, they are two things that are on our list. So we actually are putting into our supplier directory another field that'll have the health policies for each supplier. And on our themes, we're going to add sustainable and eco, so that an agent can actually find a supplier
absolutely
based on that theme.
And I could see that in the white label version of the Tour Finder being a huge, thing that people are going to go looking for on people's websites. That's, from anybody using anybody's point of view, how you project, your values around that side of the industry is going to be a key decision making, part of the decision making for customers on who they choose to book with or spend their money with or travel with, because if they want to deal with people that are on the same page as far as how they're feeling about that side of it, which is great. We could talk.
It is about that bit. That's what I learned from my counselling days. Is that you can't be one size fits all. It's like you find your tribe.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they resonate with you and they connect, and that's I think the most important thing is just finding that tribe. Yeah.
And look, I'm sure we could talk about all that stuff all day, but I won't keep you too much longer. A huge amount of value. Thanks for sharing the website. It's a great product. I'm sure agents will be really excited about exploring it further and finding out more how that could help them in their businesses, moving forward. So good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing the platform evolve. It's fantastic to see people working on the tech and the stuff that we know that we all need. So good luck. Enjoy your last few weeks on the Gold Coast. Don't get too cold heading back down south when you can. And as I said, look forward to catching up on the other side of all this.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. Pleasure. Thanks Alex.
Bye.
Talk soon. Bye.